Hello, Teresa here from South East London. A big welcome to you all, especially to our new subscribers. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the channel. Now, there was quite a good response to the last weaving project, and some of you asked me if I could extend it and do a few more bits, which I've done. And as you know, this is part of a big project that I'm doing for classroom use. But I thought, well, while I'm doing that for classroom, I can do it with you as well and bring you along just for the fun of it. So these are the two examples that you're looking at, or two examples you're looking at the moment, and they were both made on different looms. Now this one, which is actually my favourite, I'll make it a bit smaller so you can see more of it. I think this is my favourite one of all that I've done at the moment, and it's made on this, our old favourite loom. We've used this before, definitely homemade, as you can see along here with the thumbtacks, and that is a picture frame. So that's how this one was made. It's quite a nice thing to do. So if you have any old picture frames, by all means you can use that one, but this one is the one that we're going to concentrate on during this course. This was made on this piece of a box, and we'll get around to that later. And this small one is vintage. I made this several years ago, well, a long time ago now, and I just love that, and I just keep that hanging around. So grab your looms and your scissors and your threads and settle down. Right, choose the length that the size that you want your loom. Mine is 15.5 inches by 11.5, but yours, you might want yours different. I've also cut two strips here, one at the top and one at the bottom, and they are just over 1/2 inch wide by the length of the loom, and I've glued them down 1/2 inch from the edge. I've also kept the corrugated lines here, you can see them running up the box, the way of the warp. This will make the next bit easier when it comes to snipping these little teeth along here that are going to hold your warp threads, and you're going to do that top and bottom, and they are 1/4 inch from the edge of the seam, from the edge. Now all I'm doing here is snipping in, and luckily enough I can run the scissors down the corrugation. Now after I've done that, I'm going to use a nice strong twine. This is an ordinary garden twine that I'm using here, and I'm going to string it, secure it to the edge of the box, and then I'm going to bring it down around the first tooth, right the way along the length of the card, and then around the corresponding tooth at the bottom. Pull it nice and tightly, but not so tight that you split the cardboard tooth. Then I'm taking it up again, and I'm going to repeat that around the tooth and down. Oops, around the tooth and down. And I'm going to carry on doing this until the whole of that cardboard loom, or this cardboard loom is warped. So that's done. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to secure the edge or the end of this, just so it doesn't work free. Otherwise that will be an end to your weaving. If that thread, either end, comes free, then all your hard work have been going out the window. And I don't know why I'm laughing, because it wouldn't make me laugh, it made me cry. So that is nicely secured, and you can see the teeth there. Some of them have been weakened in the making of this, but the warp threads are nice. Now if I turn this over, you can see where some of these teeth have taken a bit of strain, so I need to strengthen those up. And all I'm going to do, look, you can see them at the top here as well. I think they're worse at the top. I'm going to take my sellotape, and I'm just going to cut. Oh, this is, oh my goodness. I'm just going to cut a little piece here, and I'm going to run it over the end of the teeth, top and bottom, just to strengthen those teeth, and it actually hold the back of the warp thread in place as well. This is a tough old sellotape here. And I'm also going to secure that end there to hold that in place, just to make sure it doesn't come loose. Snip off the end, and now that is ready to work. So before we start collecting our fibres and thinking of weaving, we need to collect a few bits and pieces. So I found this candle box, and it's just the right size that I need. So you need a strip like this, 3.5 inches by the width of your loom. This is ideal for me. You need a fork. I've actually bought a big packet of forks that I need. These just a plastic fork, but a dining fork will do. A dining fork will be fine. Need some lolly sticks. Now these are optional, but I bought lolly sticks anyway, and they're very cheap and they're very good. And a selection of needles, or a needle to suit you, and a piece of card, preferably without the holes. And what else do we need? So we're going to make our own shuttles. Now these are quite easy, and this is why I suggest you have these big lolly sticks. They're just lovely, and they're nice and strong. You can actually make them from card as well, but because I needed so many for a class, I bought a packet. Now with a pointy tool, a pokey tool here, just make a hole about 1/2 inch from the end. Now being very, very careful not to crack the stick like I've just done there. So very gently you're going to pierce the wood and make the hole. Make it from that size to that one, and that makes it just right for threading your yarn. Also, I'm using a ruler, a 12-inch ruler, and I'm going to use this for some of the time as a shed. Now with my chosen threads, and I've decided to work in blue, I've taken four strands of them, different blues and a white, and I'm going to wrap them around the card right the way round, and I'm actually going to guess how many that I need, how many times I need to wrap it round. The best thing about it is you can always add to it as you go along. So I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to wrap the card to the end with these threads. Now when you get towards the end, just hold the threads firmly, and with the scissors just snip it off, and then just straighten up some of the yarns if they've overlapped too much. Just keep them straight and hold it down. Now look, if you can see, I'm measuring this against our demonstration one, and it's an exact length. So with your scissors, just go, oh it's tough, just snip across the whole of the top there, and try and hold them down tightly at the bottom if you can. It makes it easier. Now there's all my threads for the fringe, and as I said, if I need more, I can just easily do exactly as I've just done now. So if we go back to this one that we're basing our new one on, you can see that the weaving starts about here, and the rest is fringe. If I move that down, you can see the difference there between where the weaving stops here and the fringe starts. So I'm going to use this piece of card that I used for the fringe, for the yarn for the fringe, and if you have a look at that, it's the same size as that weaving, as that fringe there. So what I'm going to do is pop this in here to make sure that I don't go any further, weave any further than I want to. Now I'm going to use this as a shed, okay, and I'm going to put this through here. So I'm just going to weave it through, so I'm going under and over and under and over right to the end. Lovely, so you can see that. Now I'm going to just pull it up slightly, just so the card will slot in round about there. And now the clever bit is that you turn this on its side and it lifts the threads up. If you can see this, it lifts all the warps up, not all of them, but every other warp thread it lifts up, which makes it really easy to put the card in. So all you need to do is just run the card straight through like this, and your card is now in place. I'm going to take it right the way down to the bottom of the loom, right the way to the edge here. There we go. Push that down, and then I'm going to remove the shed stick. There we go. Now that is ready to start weaving. Just going to check it again. So we've got that much weaving. We're going to do that much weaving from there to here, and the rest is fringe. So there we go, that's lovely. Now we're going to put the shed stick in again, but this time we're going to alternate the threads just as if we're weaving yarn. So we're going to go, we finished on an over, under, so we're going to go over, under. So where we went under, we're going over. And as you can see here, these are going under the ruler, under the shed stick. These are all going over. Oh, these are going under, and the next row are going over. So we're just going to pull that up just slightly. Now on this row, you can't twist this up, you won't get the same effect. So I'm just going to move that up, and with my needle, which is the lolly stick, I'm just going to follow that all the way across. Underneath the shed stick, underneath the ruler, I'm just following the way it lays on the ruler. So, like this. Now, I've roughly measured the yarn that I'm using, the length of yarn, and it is 4 times plus half the width of this. I want to do 4 rows in this yarn, which is actually string. It's the same that I've used for the warp threads. So we're going under it again, make all the way under. Right, there we go. So that is the first row. And now I'm going to just drop this, the ruler, the shed, if you like, and push it down. There. And that is the first row of weaving. Now, this only works one way, so I can't lift this up now because it only, as I said, it only works one way. Right, I'll make this bigger. Now, because I finished under, I need to turn back and start over. So over, under, over, under, over, under, and I'm going to do this all the way to the end over, under, and then I'm going to repeat what I've just done again. I'm going to do another 2 rows as I'm doing here. I'm just going to repeat this, so I will end up with 4 rows of weaving. So that's done, and with the fork you're just going to beat these down. Okay, now by doing it this way you don't get the weft too tight. So if it's not too tight, it's not going to pull these in here and create a waste. So very, very gently we're going to just beat them down like so, and that's lovely. Now to finish off, I'm just going to go over, say 3 or 4, go over, I'm actually going over what, 2, I'm going over 2, under 3, and I'm going to finish off here like so, and I'm going to cut that off. So that is nicely tucked in now, nicely there. Now I'm going to add another 2 rows, of something a bit stronger or a bit thicker. This, it's still string. I'm just going to add 2, 1, 2. Yeah, I'm not going to get 3. So back to my lolly stick, and I thread that up, and I'll start here again. So as you can see, I've taken the ruler out. I'm just going to beat these down. I found the ruler was actually getting in my way, so I've got rid of that in favour of the fork actually. So what I was doing, no, I'm just going to go back again over, say 3, 4, 5. I'll show you what I was doing with the fork in a minute. Right, now that is, push that down, that end down, so it merges in with the previous row, and that makes a really nice finish. Now the next thing I'm going to do is start the knots, the fringe. Now the way I'm going to do this is to work over, I'm going to try to do it this way. Now I'm on the side, so this might be a little bit awkward to do it from where I'm sitting at the moment, and I will make it bigger so you can see. Right, now I'm going to take 4 strands. Now what did I do here? Here I worked with 1, 3 there. I thought I worked with 4 on this one, but it doesn't look it. Let's have a look. Yeah, 3 strands on these, but it was quite a thick yarn as well. So what will I do? I'll work with 3 on this one as well. Now we're going to work over 2. We're going to work over 2 pairs. Okay, now I need to make this a little bit bigger for you, so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. There we go. Right, we'll just ignore these ends at the moment. They can be dealt with right at the end. Now take your 3 pieces of yarn. Now you might want a really thick one, so you might have more, but just bear in mind that the thicker your yarn and the more strands you have, the more difficult it is at times to manipulate these over the pairs of warp threads. Okay, so what we're going to do then, working over the 2, going to find the halfway mark, which is roughly there, halfway, and we're going to put a finger between the 2 pairs. So there's the first pair and the second pair, and just scoop that one underneath there, so you come through the middle, fingers still on the middle between the 2, so you're bringing that in there, and then you're going to do the same here. You're going to lift up that pair, bring the yarn through like that, normal fingers here, like that, and then just pull them down gently. Okay, so that is your first, and then we're going to do that with all the way along here, just exactly the same, half between the next two pairs, 1, 2 between those. So I'm going to put that over there, hold the middle point down like so, and then with your fingers here. Now you might find an easier way of doing this. This just suits me. Sometimes I use a crochet hook to pull them through, and that makes it a lot easier. So there we go, under there, pull it round, and here once again underneath, and bring it round there. Now can you see what I mean? When you work with several strands, they're likely to get a bit muddled up. Now I'm going to carry on and do that all the way along, and as soon as I've done that I'll get back. Yeah, as you've actually probably noticed, I've done 2 rows of this Ryan knotting for the fringe. The one, oh, there's a bus. The one resulted in big gaps here, which I didn't like. So I thought I'm going to close the knots up, and I'm going to attach the 2 pairs either side of the gap to close that up. So that's as far as I've got now. I'm just coming to the end of the second row, doing them exactly the same as the first, pulling them down here. And while I'm doing this, I'm looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, it's a mess. It reminds me of probably the first time I did this as a student, oh, way back in the day now. And looking at this, it doesn't look as if I've actually progressed very much. I don't think my art lecturer would be very impressed with this. But she's not around to see it, so there you go. I'm not worried then. Not worried this time. I can remember being terrified of her. Hopefully those days have gone now. But anyway, that's the finished fringe. Okay, and with my trusty old beater, I'm just going to push them down. Yes, it was definitely wise to put the second row in. Now this can be trimmed later, so I'm not too bothered about the raggy bit. In fact, I will probably keep the raggy bit, maybe just trim a couple off. So there we go. So what we're going to do now is add a couple of more rows of weaving, but this time, if I hold this up, you can see that I've used the yarn double. So I'm going to use the yarn, which is actually a white string. I love working with string, and as you know, I love working with Hessian too, so it's all related. But you can see here how I've used the string double. So I've just very, very roughly, quickly measured across 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm hoping to get 4 rows like I did here, 4 rows of double thread weaving. Now it's still the plain weaving that I'm doing. Oh, this is really long. So I should start here, push those down as I go along. They're springing up, and as they're springing up, they're opening up a bit, so I need to get the weaving in to hold those in place. Right, so I'm going to start here. I'm going over, under, over, under, over, under, over. The same weaving all the way across, and I will be doing this 4 times. So when I get to the end, I'll be coming back, so that'll be 2, 3, 4, and I'll end that back here. So I'm going to carry on with that. Now where am I? Over. I don't want to pull it in too tightly at either end. beat it down, and I think that will do. So I'm just going to take this back over 3 or 4 as usual. 1, 2, 3. So I've gone over 2, under 3, and I'm going to cut it here like that and beat it down and push the ends into that row. There we go. So that's nice and neat. Now this end here where I started, I think I'm going to tie that off and encourage it to join the fringe down here. See, that is the end that I started with, but I'm going to, I think, bring it through here so it just adds to the fringe, and I'll do that later on. Now the next bit, I went to the red one, the nice pink one here, and I like this. It's weaving with, let me have a look, 3 strands. So I'm going to do that next along here, and I'm going to change the threads. See ice cream man out there. Right, so I'm going to change the thread, and I'm going to use 3 strands of wool, and I'm introducing a purple. I think it might need just a little bit of added interest there colour wise. So I'm going to start here with what did I do there? Under, so I need to go over, under, over, under, over, all the way along to the end, and then I shall turn back and do the second row, finishing off here where I started. Oh, I like that purple. Yes, immediately I like the purple. Beat it down as usual. Lovely. I'm not sure if I have another. Oh, I might get another row out of that. Right, I'm going to try and get another row out of that. I'm just going to untwist that yarn, see if I can get a 3rd row. I might have been over generous with the allowance. I've obviously allowed too much for sewing in at the end of the row. Ooh, I don't know. I bet it runs out right before the end. Like when you're on the sewing machine, you always run out of thread 2 inches before you want to finish. Let's see, fingers crossed. Oh, how's that then? Right, I'm just going to untwist that. I don't have to, but I'm just going to straighten that up and beat it down. We're going to do is a lovely, lovely stitch. Now let me see if I use, yes, it's called Soumac. You see here, that is called a Soumac stitch, and it looks very much like chain stitch, but it isn't chain stitch. So that was on there, and that is half of it here. Now it's quite a beautiful stitch, but it does take some time to get used to this one. Soumac weave, and I'm doing this very thick with 1, 2, 3, 4 strands of double knitting. All the wool that I'm using here is double knitting wool. So I'm going to come through the first 2 here, and I'm going to wrap, just come through between, so the thread lies behind the pair here. Then I'm going to lift up the next 2 here and wrap this underneath these 2 here, like that. and then I'm going to come across the next two and do the same. Just keep coming across two and then going back. It reminds me a little bit of back stitch. So over the two stitches here, sorry, the two warps here. I'm going to do this all the way to the end. Now your needle or your shuttle faces the opposite direction to the way that you want to go. So there we go, over the two again, coming out in the middle. Oops, that's a pair there, like that, and then back between another two pair under, like so. This piece left is a bit too short to start the next row, so I've decided to leave that, and I'll deal with that later. I'll tuck that in later, but assuming or imagining that these two are just one long length. Okay, we're coming round here, through there, round here, like so, and then we're going back on ourselves again. So going that way, through there, around that way, that's the sumac stitch. One of the cardboard pieces at the top ripped and it left that dangling, so what I need to do is secure that. The problem is I've used this loom before. I think really they're only suitable for using once, but I actually worked this one on this loom, so I've weakened some of the top bits here, some of the teeth if you like. So I'm just going to secure that with some sellotape right the way along. Right, that should hold it down. So if you have the same problem, don't worry, just pin it back as best as you can, hold it back as best as you can, and put some sellotape over it or some glue, something to hold it down while you work it. So that's a bit of a learning curve. Now hopefully all that sellotape will hold it, but it has weakened the stitch there, so once I take this off the loom I'm going to need to tighten that up just a little bit, and that bit, because I've run out of thread, will need a little bit of attention as well. So the next weave we're going to do is, I think, this. Let's have a look. That one. That looks very nice. Now this is felting. It's for when you're doing your felting bits with the needle and you're poking this fabric, roving. This is acrylic. You're poking this in your little bird or whatever item, object you're felting. This is what you use. So I'm going to use this. Now I have some here. What colour shall we use? Don't want to stray too far from blue. She says pulling out the purple. Oh, there's some nice colours that'll go with blue. So I think I might go for this one. Now this looks a tidy little packet. I remember the first time I saw these and I thought, oh my goodness, that's not going to be enough for what I need. And then this sprang to life. Now true weavers, which I'm not, as you know, true weavers will get theirs from wool, from sheep, and it, I mean, at a distance it looks like this, but this is really inferior. As I said, this is acrylic, so it isn't from sheep. And we're just going to, now you can have this as thick as you want. I'm just going to try to attach that, but it doesn't matter if I don't. I can just bring this through with my fingers. I don't think this is actually going to join, but with this we just weave in and out with it. Now I find when I'm using this, it's best to do it with my fingers. So just the plain weave, the tabby weave, just going to make this a little bit bigger for you. So we're going to use the plain weave, and we're going over and under, just as we've been doing. So over, under, oh, I've started under, over, all the way down to the end. No, it looks as if I've started with the wrong. So I'm going to start under. I can see I need to start under, over, under. Now the fork at this point comes in handy for lifting up your thread. So under, push it through, over, so over. This one will be under, push it through either end of the fork like that, and already it's taking shape. So over, lift it up with the fork. Now I'm going to continue this until the end, and already it's taking on quite a nice look. Now when I get to this bit, all I'm going to do is weave in this, another piece, and lose the ends in each other. And that is the roving. See, that's a nice effect. I did have to join it. I joined it round about here, and not only that, that broke again. So I've actually tied a knot to keep that upright there. So the next thing we're going to do is, let's have a look at our reference. We've done, oh, we've got 2 rows there, 2 rows of roving there, and we've got 1 there and some more. Oh yeah, I like this effect. So I think, oh, should I do another row of that? No, I think I'm going to do, what have we got here? I think I'll put some fluffy, wispy thread there. Now this has got a special name and I can't remember what it's called, so I'm going to call it hairy thread. I'm going to use that double, and we'll have 1, 2, and a, oh gosh, 1, no, that's too short, that's just broken off. We'll have it, ooh, let's hope I don't run out of this. So we've got 1, ooh, good grief. Right, that'll go across there nicely, and I'm going to do this with my fingers as well. So I'm going to start here. Hang on, no, I might be able to get this through the stick. Yes, I think I will. I get it through my shuttle stick. So I'll start here. I finished under, so I'll start over, under, over, under, all the way down the end. I don't think, have I got enough? Now I'm leaving these hanging, everything I leave hanging will be tied back, tidied up right at the end. Where's the fork? Right, I'm going to try and fluff that up with the fork, beat it out. There we go, beat that out. And that gives a nice effect there. Yeah, oh, I'm pleased that I used that. Just have a look there. So it's taking shape. Right, now what have we got going on here? So here we've got some more roving there, and we've got string, and we have a repeat of this here. Now the interesting thing about this one, if you can see this here, you can see my hand through it, these are actually dried twigs. So I have 2 rows here of dried twigs, which I will use on this later because it's a beautiful effect. But just for the time being, I'm going to carry on with a couple of rows now, just of weaving under and over, nothing special. So I probably do maybe an inch or so, an inch or so of weaving, and then I'll get back and I'll show you what I've done. So far, I've put in, I put the hairy bit in before, didn't I? So this, I added some more roving here, and would you believe it, I ran out here. So this part is actually green fabric. I've woven in some green fabric, just that piece there, and above it I've woven in some more fabric strips, which is for another project, so I've taken some from that project and just woven that in. And here is half sumac weaving, not stitch. So there's the half womac stitch. I'm not going to put the other half in. I almost did, and then I thought no, because I have got other plans for up here, and those plans include, as I mentioned a minute ago, weaving some twigs. Now this is a wonderful thing to do, and these are actually for another project, and they have been drying for a couple of months. I picked them up in the park over the back. They were just lying around, so I didn't have to actually, well, I wouldn't have done, I wouldn't have taken them from the tree, but the park over there gets regular maintenance. Oh, I'm going to have to take these little buds off. Oh, it's so dry. These are quite hard. Yes, the park at the back of me, it's a beautiful park with a little train that goes around it, and a pool and all sorts. Children just love it. But the park keepers are really wonderful. They keep it immaculate, and they are always felling or thinning or pruning, and they're great environmentalists as well over there. Lots of land that's let to go rough, if you like, or natural, quite substantial pieces of land actually. So it's just a joy, because you go over there and see butterflies and all sorts of things, though I don't suppose the children really notice. They're so busy in the paddling pool and on the fun things. But yeah, so anyway, that's where I got these from. I'm often over there just picking up bits that right, so I've managed to put the twigs in. It didn't take too long once I worked out about pulling them the same way as the buds. So that is done, and that gives a really nice open effect. So I'm just going to do some weaving, a couple of lines of weaving along here. I'm using ordinary parcel string, and it's that one there. I'm going to use it double. That last one was over, so this is under. I'm not doing anything fancy, just bog standard plain weaving. Yeah, that's finished. Now I just need to beat this down with the fork, close it up just a little bit. Right, you can see there it's following, the weaving is following the line of the twigs. That's giving it quite a nice nice look, and I do love the openness here that the twigs has given it. That is really gorgeous. I just love that. Just to make that a little bit shorter. Right, we haven't got much more to do. Where is our... Here we go. Right, I think... Right. Oh my goodness. We've almost done it. I think another couple of rows, or even one row, we'll see this finished. What shall we do here? Right, we've done all this, we've done that, we've done the twigs, we've done this as well, haven't we? Right, so we've done everything on that. What we could do is another row, like here, another row of the Ryan knots along here. Yeah, I think this might be what I do. I do like that effect. I think that effect is really lovely. That's nice as well. And we have a few Ryan knots there. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But I don't need them as long as this. I only want short ones. So I need to go around something a bit shorter. I'm going to wind the thread, this one here, around the frame. You've seen this frame before. It's what I like to frame my stuff with. So I'm going to wind it around here. Now I think that this is probably just the length that I will want. Don't forget, it will be double. Now I don't want too many because I only want to make a little feature, I think. So I don't want to waste too much wool doing this. I can always cut some more. Now if I look back at the red one, I can see it from here. There's not that many knots there. And I've got quite a nice handful there. Now I'm just going to compare the size or the length of these with the other ones. Let's have a look. So this was for the blue here. So, oh yeah, it's practically half the size. I think I might start with 3. Go down the middle-ish and start with 3. And just as before, fold them in half, like that, over a pair and through the middle. Finished at last. Now I did need to cut some more because I decided to carry on all the way through. It's actually followed the line of the twigs, so it's got a little bit of a curve going on there. I'm going to finish this off now with one row of weaving. And it's finished. Completely finished. So I'm going to hold this up, make it smaller, and you'll be able to see the finished effect, hopefully. So there we are. Now if you can try to ignore the rough bits, I'll do what I normally do. There we are. So that is the finished bit, the finished weaving. Now I'm going to pop that over there. I'll make this bigger, and that will give you a better idea of how it's looking. So the next thing is to take it off the frame and tidy up the back, and then add a dowel in to the top. Okay, so let's get on with tidying up the back then. Got a feeling that could be quite a big project in itself. I'm going to slip it off the cardboard, and then we'll think about turning these over and neatening the two sides. So first thing to do is just pull these up. You can snip them or pull them up. I think I might cut them. Get the scissors, and I'm just going to run the scissors underneath. Right, so there we go, that's that end. Oh, one there. Let's chop that one off, that's lovely. Got one there, lovely. Run the scissors right the way through this, because as I said, this loom now is finished. Lovely, so we get rid of all those little bits, they're not worth saving. And I'm just going to pop it off now. Oh, there's still a loop there, and one there. That's lovely. So that is the end of the loom. Whoa, still a loop that end. Cut that there. I'll just help those off. And there we have it. So I'm very carefully going to turn it this way and not cut that piece off, and not all these pieces here. Now that has just come, I've just pulled this piece out, so I can just pop it back. Luckily it's only the end piece, so I'll just pop it back. That's under, over, there we go. Just finish off the sequence, and that is done. You see the twigs, you see the twigs sticking out there. Right, so I'm now going to tie this off. I'm going to knot it, just knot all the way to the bottom. Nice tight secure knot. Lovely. Finished. That's the last one. So that's the top all done. Now don't worry about the knots, the ends of the knots, because we'll be dealing with those very shortly. Just tightening up a couple of them that seem to be coming undone, including that one. Now I'm going to do exactly the same on this end now. Just going to bring the fringe up just to expose these long threads here, and tie those in knots. So that's all finished as well. Now what I'm going to do is leave these hanging for a time. I'm not going to trim those off yet, because I might actually want them underneath the blue frill or the blue fringe. I shall flatten them at some point and just see how they look, just poking out from underneath the fringe. So I will leave them for a while. Now, so that's the top and the bottom both done. Now I'm going to do the sides and tidy up the back. So all I'm going to do is, with a crochet hook, I'm just going to pull some of these through. I'll make the screen just a bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. You could do it just with your fingers, you don't have to use a crochet hook, but I just find it easy to just, where are we up there? Where are we? There we are. So I just find it easy to just drag it through with a crochet hook. So just take it back a couple. Now if you use a thick fabric like this, you could actually just, when you finish off, going under about 3, I'm going on to 4 because this is thick and it could walk out. Now when you've done that, it's up to you. You might want to put a few stitches just to hold the end down, or a little bit of glue. That's entirely up to you. I don't think it needs it, but the option's there. This as well. Oh, I'm just going to trim the twigs off here. No special endings for them. This one has already been sewn in when we finish, so that can just be cut off. Right, I have another one here. That was a join, so I'm just going to take that just through a stitch here, pull that through, and then cut the end of that. So how far we are, right, this one is fabric as well, so I'm just going to bring that through. I'm going to do 3 together, 2 together, bring that through the back. Finished. That was quite a task and a half to do. So that is now the back. Now if you did this and you didn't like the way it looks, all you'd need to do was just attach a back into it, a piece of felt maybe to cover it up. I actually like that effect, but it will be against the wall anyway, so it won't be seen. But this is the front. Now I haven't trimmed this yet. That's going to be one of the last things to do along with this, if I decide to trim that. Now the next thing, and one of the final things to do, is to attach this to a dowel so you can hang it on the wall. Now the previous three that I've done, this one is attached to a twig here, so that hanger is suspended from a twig, as is this one. Well, this one is actually a branch. I need to pull that down. So this one is a branch there, and this one are actually 2 twigs, 2 quite weak twigs, which I've had to glue together for strength. But I liked this colour. This colour went with all the colours of the wall of the yarn, so that is why. If you look there, you can see where I've actually glued them together, but that doesn't notice on the front. The glue doesn't notice on the front. So that's how to do this, the attaching the dowel. Now you can actually buy doweling by the meter in a lot of DIY places, but I think, well, why do that if you can make your own, or use a coat hanger or something else that you might have lying around the house. These I have for another project, but I've gone to that box, and they have been drying along with the twigs for quite a while now. So I need twigs, probably those there, and they can perhaps, they need to bend into each other. Oh, I've got some more there. Let's see if we have any straight. Right, that one is sort of semi-straight. They don't have to be too straight, but they do need to bend in. Actually, I could leave that. Let me have a look there. Oh, that might make it look nice. These are quite fine, so they would break if they're not strengthened with some glue. There we go. I'll glue these 2 together. Now I have got a hot glue gun here, but you can do this with any glue, any strong glue, and all I'm going to do is run it along the join here, and that shouldn't take too long. Shouldn't take too long at all to dry. And as I've said before, the thing is with this hot glue, you don't get any time for manoeuvring, because as soon as it's down, it starts sticking. As soon as they're together, it sticks. So you don't get any time for moving it and changing it. Right. Now, for some unknown reason, when I've gone to edit the video, which I'm doing at the moment, I've discovered that the piece of video where I've oversewn the doweling, or the natural form, these twigs, to the weaving, hasn't come out for some reason. Now, because it is the end of the video, and as I said, I'm going through it, editing it now, I've had to pop this piece in, but I've already sewn the twigs on to the weaving. So what I've done, I've had to go down my samples and everything and get a piece of fabric that is not weaving, because I know I haven't got any spare weaving pieces, but I've come up with this piece of crochet which will act just as well as the weaving. And all I'm going to quickly show you is how I sew the twigs, the doweling on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just edge to edge. Now, if this was the weaving, this would be the first row of weaving, and I will put the twigs over that. I'll put that over, and any knotted pieces, any knotted ties or strings that are on the back of the weaving where I've tied the ends will be over this side. They'll all be over this side, and I will just match these and over sew them on. Ooh, match these and over sew them on. So I'm using this double, my string is being used double, and I'm just going to pull through like that and keep my thumb on this piece here, and then over sew a couple of times at the end just to secure it at the end. And that really is, as it sounds, over sewing. So I'm going to do a couple of little over sewing stitches there, and that has caught this. That's caught the end here at the back. And now I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to space my stitches probably about 1/2 an inch. But don't forget, it's all up to you how you space yours. So over sew literally over, right the way over to the back. You're going to go through the back here and back to the front, and you're just going to catch the weaving, which is the blue row, don't forget, and right the way over sew. And when, after you've put in the amount of stitches that you want to secure your twigs or your doweling, all you'll do is go through to the back, around the back, just catch it at the back. Now that's, don't forget, that's your weaving, your first line there, and you're just going to knot that and then go under these just to secure it, and then cut that off. And that is that's all there is to attaching your doweling. Okay, so I'm really puzzled as to where that piece of video's gone. I expect it to turn up now and you'll never know about this. Okay, I hope that was clear. I'll have to pop this back into the video now. that's on tightly. We've almost finished now. What I need to do is trim the two fringes. Now I did trim the back and I took all the long pieces off because they just look scruffy there. So if I can turn this round and do it this way, I don't want to take too much off the bottom, but just to tidy the raggy bits up here. Well, I think that might be okay. Give that a little bit of a haircut, or a little bit there. Let me have a look. Yeah, I think that's looking okay. It's nice and thick. Yep. Let me see. Yeah, I think that'll do. Once it's hanging on the wall, if I think it needs a bit more of a trim, I'll just run the scissors over it again. But at the moment, what's in front of me looks okay. Now the next bit is to do this. Now I'm really not sure about how short I want it. I wanted the twigs to show underneath. You see the twigs there, which means really making these very, very short. So I'm just going to flatten them down. Ooh. Let's see how short to make them. Oh, about half the length they are. Now I need to be careful not to cut the stitching or the weaving from the row underneath. I'm just going to jump in and just cut along there. Oh, I've been dreading this part, really dreading it. I just don't want to catch the weaving underneath the blue row there. So just run it. I can just about see through the fibres here, just to see where the scissors are. Oh, that feels like I got something. Did I catch it? No. Ooh. So that is finished, and I really like this little tufted bit here, and you can actually see the twigs here. And if I could hold that up, no, I don't know how to get the light through that. So you could, if you can see the light there through it. Yes, I like that. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that is to put the hanger on. Now it's really up to you what sort of hanger you put on. That could be wool or ribbon, string, whatever you want. I'm putting string on there, and I'm going to use it double, use the string double, go to one end. Now I've made it two lengths of this, 2 lengths of the doweling, and I'm going to just loop it here, loop it one end up there, wiggle it down a little bit here, and then I'm just going to take it as long as I want it, and probably round about that long, and then I'm going to loop it round here and tie a knot on the back. You could have as many strings as you want on your hanger. Alright, so that's secured there, and I'm going to run the end just with the crochet hook, and I'm going to run the end just through one of the overcasting stitches. There, that's fine, and I'm going to cut that end off and call this finished. I hope you enjoyed doing that. It was very, very quick, very simple, and it literally only took a few hours. You could get this done, I think, in an afternoon. Get cozy on your chair. You don't have to do any standing with this. This is sitting down. For those of you who have got mobility problems or difficulties, this can be done just sitting down. Okay, and if you do have manual dexterity problems in your hands, don't forget these. Don't forget to use these as your needles. You don't have to use a fine needle. So everybody should be able to do this. I hope so, and I hope you all have a try, and do put your results on the Facebook group, and I look forward to speaking to you, emailing you, messaging you, and hearing from you very, very soon. So take care now. Bye bye.